Hi, everyone in Zoom world. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. It's 11:02. We had an appointment at 11 o'clock, and I ran late. So, I will put some. Well, I won't do anything about it. I'm the team leader. So, just kidding. Anyway, all right. So let's get started. And okay, if we can all rise and say a pledge of allegiance. Our flag is here. For those of you in Zoom world, you know, please look at the screen. All together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Moving on next to gratitude. What a beautiful day it was today waking up. Did you know that there's a pink moon out? Of what, last night? And the next one's going to be on May 27th, if you missed it.
Yeah, it's for spring. It doesn't turn pink.
May 27th?
Red, but pink.
And the next one?
Yes, it's in a couple. Yeah. Why are you so disappointed?
No.
No, you don't want it that day?
I'm actually happy that it will be that day.
Okay, good. This does not look happy at the moment. All right. So tell me what are you grateful for since the last time we met? I would love to hear from you. And please, those of you on Zoom world, chat away so that Blake can let us know. Yes. Ooh, I love this.
I am grateful for Heather and being my script partner and being there every morning at 8:30.
Woohoo! Love
I'm
that.
grateful she's there with me because I need all the script practice I can get.
Awesome. Pat.
I'm grateful to be alive.
Yeah.
I
For those of you who don't know,
long story.
our dear Pat was in the hospital over the weekend. Called me from the ER.
I was on a new med that didn't agree with me for my health, and I called my doctor a week after taking it. I said this is kicking my ass. Well, give it another week. Well, shouldn't have. And I ended up in a chair at Sassy Beach's salon Saturday morning, getting my gray roots covered with red. I passed out in the chair. And it's not good, that feeling. I thought I was dying. I thought I was having the big one.
That's scary.
And oh my God, I'm BFFs with EMS people and nurses, and this one, and my special gratitude goes to Danielle, to Holly, to Bobby, and to my sister for being my support and the prayers and my love that I needed. I love you all.
We're all in it together. We love you. So we're glad. I am super glad you're here, and I'm glad we're able to fix your medication.
I'm off it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the smile today that you did not have last week really freaked us out. So I'm glad you're here. Good job. All right. Who else? We're grateful for. Come on, guys. Yes.
I'm super grateful for Wade Toulis. I don't know who all knows him from Value Right Appraisals. He's been a preferred provider of ours in the past. And he was like so helpful to me this week when I had a sale where I had a buyer purchasing a new build that was priced very well, and the appraisal fell short. And I didn't even understand it because it just was completely. And then when I looked at the appraisal, it was just, even to me, the comparables were not comparable. And there were comparables there, but he not only helped me pick comparables, but he went through that appraisal and critiqued where adjustments should have been made that weren't made, and he did all this for free. I said, can I pay you? And he said, no, you can't. We can't do that. I just need to help you out. And I've hired him before in the past for appraisals, but he just really impressed me. He was super professional and super helpful, and took the time to do something he didn't have to do.
Yeah.
So
that is awesome.
Very grateful for that.
Let's remember that. And I just think during this time of the market, I feel like everyone's nerves are on edge.
Yeah, because when you hear that, you keep hearing it's coming, and other people are falling short. And I was like, this just isn't right. It can't be, And I was thinking maybe I'm in denial, but he's like, no, you're totally on. This is wrong, and we need to get this fixed.
Well,
so
good.
That was nice. Yeah.
That's a good one. That's very to be grateful for. And just a reminder, right? I mean, like I said, we're in such a interesting time, and everyone's nerves are on edge, and there's just so much going on, and you're trying to service your clients as the best as possible. And just remember to breathe, and remember who is out there in terms of your third-party vendors. Relationship matters not only with our clients, but with our co-ops and with our appraisers and our inspectors and things like that. Because when situations like this happens, that's when that relationship that you've been building or starting to build will kick in, right? So just kind of remember, this is the time when we all need to band together to service our businesses at a really high level. Thank you. Anything on the Zoom world, Zoom land? Okay. What is culture? Here's our culture moment. So here are the two things for culture. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. Do y'all mind?
Yeah.
I don't care if you don't see me. Okay, great. All right, so here we are. Number 15. In building a team, never recruit associates from any other KW Market Center without first discussing it and receiving prior approval from both team leaders and engaging communication between both rainmakers. Any questions about that one? We recently had an issue and I was glad that she didn't know and we were able to take care of it. So a perfect example of this situation is there was an agent who had a client from another market center come to one of our agents' open house. Surprised that she was even to have an open house. That was really great. And he was a new agent who recently joined a team. He was not happy being on that team, thinking his expectations were being met. Just, and she was like, "Oh, I'm building a team. You should come and join me." And then they were getting along, and then she called me. She's like, "Hey, I think I have a new recruit. Can you meet with him and stuff?" And so we had to work through that. Now, say that because she didn't know, right? But we always want to make sure that we, no matter if you're in the market center, at this market center or another market center, we are all Keller Williams, right? And I feel confident that you had a team and you had a person on your team, you would like to know if that team member was just frustrated. Because sometimes you're just having frustrated days, especially as new agents, right? And sometimes you just need to work through that. And it's easy to just cut and run when the issue that you're having will stay with you no matter what, right? So we're able to work that out, and the team, that person is still on the same team, and everything was worked out with his rainmaker and moving forward. But this is just a good reminder. And this happened to Valentine, and this happened about 2 weeks ago. So the next thing is when you're building expansion, the exact same thing. Never recruit from another market center without discussing it and receiving prior approval from both team leaders, associates, primary location, and expansion location. So that means like we do have some expansion partners that will be joining us, which is really exciting. More about that to come. And yet they're not going to come in here and start recruiting from within for their team, right? Without discussing, see if there's opportunities. And they won't recruit from other offices as well. It's just more of we're all in this together. Let's see what helps. Because sometimes, again, when someone's not doing well on their own, they might think, "Oh, I need to join a team," and that's not really the right road for them or their path. It just means that they just need more one-on-one accountability, attention to kind of strengthen themselves up to be a solo agent. Or maybe it is good for them to be on a team. But it's always good to have that conversation first, because we want to make sure it's the best interest of the individual person in any direction. Okay. Awesome. All right. So Inspiration Award. And so do you want to come up and talk about who you're going to give your Inspiration Award to?
I didn't think about it.
Ha ha ha. You're such a prankster. I've gotten used to you and your comedic ways.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for giving me Inspiration Award. The person that I decided to give it to is someone I didn't know was thinking about me, period, ever thinking about me. And I would always think someone would think about me because they're seeing me around, and I wasn't in the office at all, and they're always reaching out to me. And they don't see me every day, so that means they're thinking about me outside of the office. So, Jimmy, see?
Aww. Awesome. All right, and so this is a reminder, we had a really good Red Day committee meeting this morning. So reminder one is Red Day is coming up May 13th. And talking about it. So we're having our next committee or our next meeting about Red Day next Tuesday at 10:30. So we're meeting for 30 minutes leading up to the event, just updating everyone as it goes on. The beach cleanup is at, what time is it? 9 o'clock in the morning? It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Now we're doing the beach road cleanup, so just pretend there's a word called road in the middle, okay? So apparently from my emails yesterday, I am not really good right now on details. So it will be, we'll meet here, and then for those of you who will be going to do the road cleanup, you can do that. Yes, some of you have reached out to me saying if you can bring your kiddos or your spouses or friends, you're more than welcome to. We're not advertising out to the public in order to bring people, because that's just a whole other set of liability and just working on that. So if you have a friend, if you have a spouse, if you have your own child, then yes, they can come along. Besides that, it's not like, not your database can come, okay?
And
Let's
you're
just put
really
that.
on a road,
Yes,
Yes.
so
yes.
remember that when you're thinking of little people.
And let's not forget like bug sprays and stuff. I have been introduced to no-see-ums here. in
They make
major
themselves known.
in major ways. I thought I had bed bugs at one time. They're like, oh no, you have this thing called no-see-ums. I didn't believe people.
They don't have this in Texas, huh?
No, we do not have no-see-ums.
Welcome to Florida.
I know. I learned more and more about. I learned all about ospreys too. So apparently, the ospreys mate for life.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Oh. it's I was playing Angry Birds this morning while I was looking at our osprey over the marquee. So I don't know if I want to, but it is a beautiful thing. Okay. The next thing is our Shredding for Hunger event. Shredding for Hunger event. Guys, this is such an important, awesome opportunity to help fill the coffers of the food bank. Let's not forget about that. Like, that's the main reason why we're doing this. And we're putting our vegetables in a cake by saying shred all your documents. There's a ton of people that have moved here. I'm sure that they would have so much stuff they want shredded. So let's give them the opportunity to do so. An amazing touch. Remember our 36 touch, right? Touch your clients every 11 days. So that way you can get a 12-to-2 ratio in your businesses, correct? And this is one great way to do this. There's flyers for you to print out. You can distribute them by door knocking, farming a new area or farming a current area that you have. You can also post it in your local neighborhood merchants, like gas stations and Walgreens, like anything will let you take that poster and put it on the outside. There's a section there for you to either open it with Adobe Craft and put your picture and your name, right? And you can print it out or take your business card to the side right there. Own the event. Okay, we are getting sponsors and we're putting this event together, but own the event. Say that I am putting this event together because guess what? You are. And when they come here, they're going to see a whole bunch of people and they're not going to know that there are a bunch of people that you didn't organize. They're just going to know, like, here you are, I'm doing this event. Thank you very much. So come volunteer that day. We have sign up. We're going to send out a sign up sheet via online. For those people who are here today, I expect to see every single one of your names in one of these two areas, and there's a sign-up sheet outside. Don't forget to wear red, right? So most of you have ordered your Red Day t-shirts. If you don't have a Red Day t-shirt, just wear red. If you do not have one, I think I might be able to get you one. So Russ, you might not have one because you just started. So, oh, you did? Oh, you're so good. That's awesome. Okay. Then also we will have lunch starting at 1 o'clock here. Okay. So what we're going to do is hopefully we'll have a food truck of some sort. We'll have it in our amazing backyard. So we can all come here. We'll have lunch for you. We'll take tons of pictures. We'll just have a really good time reflecting on a really awesome day. Okay. Question.
So the Shredding for Hunger, that's going to be here in our parking lot all day long?
Yes,
on
it'll
that
be
day?
from 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock.
Just from 10 till 1?
10.
And are people supposed to bring food?
Yeah, so how it would look like is someone's gonna drive in
Okay,
with a bag of canned
okay,
or non-perishable food items.
okay.
And in exchange for giving us the non-perishable food items, they will get to also, like, they'll drive in, give us their bag, we'll put it in a truck. They'll round the corner, it's almost like a U-drive thing, and on the other side, we'll have a big shredding truck, and whatever paper goods they have, they can get those shredded. I'm gonna emphasize paper goods. I do not think that we got the truck that can do, like cell phones and stuff like that, okay? Yeah. So, and then they'll drive away. we will have people on the front, I call it like the car wash signs people, right? So people out the front to like tell people where to go. We'll have cones and agents helping to direct traffic, taking out the, picking up the perishable items from the cars, that way they don't have to get out of the car, right? So a little bit of COVID safety there. We will have a truck with agents there putting the food items in the truck. They'll round the corner and we will have agents there holding signs saying, thank you so much for giving, and then helping direct them to put the paper stuff in those big cans, and then the shredding guy will actually put it in the shredder. So it works very seamlessly. Sometimes you get a backup and sometimes you're just standing around playing with your signs. So, but either way, it's gonna be a really good day. Yes.
Just so everybody knows, the flyers work really well for working a farm area too. I got a walk through, had someone call me like 3 or 4 days later to come and give them an estimate on what their house would be worth.
Right.
So it's probably gonna turn into a listing.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Right.
Woo-hoo.
There you go, guys. So,
And you know what she said? She said it's because you didn't come asking for anything.
Right.
You just gave me something and walked away.
yeah. So it's always about the value, right? So we say it all the time. When you give more value to people, then they're open to other conversations, right? And we're generally wanting to help the community. So we're generally helping the community, and now we're just adding this element into it. And we'll be doing something like this again. So we want to try to do something of this nature 3 times a year. We did I keep looking at Leslie for this. I don't know why. I'm sorry. Oh, it's because your outfit, your team outfit was awesome. The trunk or treat. So in October, we'll do the trunk or treat. It'll be the same concept here, and we'll try to look for something in between. So this is just, I mean, you could literally build your whole smart plan around these two events. Absolutely. All right. Anything else before we move on? Okay. I don't have a slide and I forgot. So Russ, I'm sorry. If everyone you could stand for us, Russ, real quick. I just want to introduce you to one of our newest agents. He just joined. I'm turning the thing over. And so welcome aboard. We're really excited to have you. You want to tell everyone, I know please Spike, because he came to Ignite yesterday with his first class. So if you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm originally from New Jersey. My wife and I and our kids moved down here to the Tampa area in 2002. We just moved to Englewood in October. I'm originally from the insurance business, mostly Medicare, and real estate's been something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and until now I really haven't had the means or the opportunity to jump into it full time, and I do now, so I'm doing it. So I'm new to the area, new to the business, and looking forward to working with you all. Thank you.
So welcome aboard.
Appreciate it.
Glad to have you. Oh, what's going on? I don't think they want me to turn. All right, so moving on. Here we go, Murray. So y'all, we're super excited. Murray's in person today. So he's gonna come and just speak a little bit about broker stuff with us. Yeah, just a few minutes. Yeah.
Look at that young man. That was pre-Medicare. I really need to get it updated. I think that was, it's been about 5 years ago. I had different hair, everything.
You know, as agents, I've seen it like 20 years ago, these are business profile pictures.
My dog. I want one of those ones with the dog. I think that's good. Did you got the memo about not having hair in the building? You obviously didn't. I said to Danielle, do you recruit anyone that's male with hair?
We have 2 right here.
Oh, I didn't see you. We want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, but we're going to talk about escalation clauses first.
Mhm.
So it's nice to meet you actually in person. I've spoken to a lot of you on the phone, and I've been in Zoom. So I had to put long pants on today.
Or pants in general.
My wife's a coach, so she's all day. She's on Zoom on the phone, and I swear to God, if I should have been sensible, not worry about toilet roll stocks and shares. I should have bought yoga pants.
Yes.
I don't think that woman's never bent over and done any of those downward dogs or anything, but every day she goes to work in yoga pants. The neighbours would, if she goes outside the neighbours, they're going to think she works at a gym or something. But she has a fancy top on.
My kind of gal.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about. Let's talk about the market. What a crazy market. I've been in this business for around Thursday for the last 12 years. And I have not seen anything like this since we had the crashing thing happen in 08, was it? Or that was nasty enough. But this is bizarre. In the Orlando area, the St. Pete and Tampa area, we've got such limited inventory, and I'm sure it's trickled down here, which is causing buyers to do crazy things and buyers agents to do crazy things. We've got in the habit of writing. One of my big rules is don't write anything in paragraph 20 in the additional terms unless it's to ask for closing costs or prepaid items. And I wish I'd never added the other sentence to that, which says, if you're going to put something else in there, call me. I've been getting 50 or 60 calls a day, just people asking me about this appraisal gap. But what can I write to say we're really, really, really going to pay this money, regardless of what the appraisal comes in at. So there's nothing we need to write. So if we think about it logically, we're just trying to make someone else feel good. And in doing so, we are creating uncertainty with the contract. My partner, business partner, Sally, I wrote up an addendum yesterday lunchtime on a napkin, photographed it, sent it to her. And she's going to try and make it a little bit more streamlined than I wrote it, so that we would have something that you may be able to use to make this promise. So it's just a feel-good thing. So if you think about it, page 1 says this is the purchase price, and in the absence of any appraisal contingency, that's the price they're going to pay. So Ryan, would you write in there? It's like to have and to hold from this day forward. I really won't go with anyone else. Is what you're saying at the end of your vows. It's like I'm going to do this, but I really, really, really promise it. Does that make sense? And then the appraisal contingency. If you're not using appraisal contingency, then you can't waive the one that's in the contract, because that's not the buyer's appraisal contingency. That is there to protect the lender, not the buyer. So what we're trying to do is we're going to try and work out some wording for you, and hopefully by tomorrow I'll have that out to you guys so that you can use it if you want to make the seller feel good about themselves. Back in the beginning of the virus, back in the oldie days, when I was actually in England back in February, and my wife said to me, this virus thing is going to get a little out of hand. She said, she was on a call with, that Gary Keller call that all the leaders were on. I didn't go on there, I wasn't invited. But he said, get rid of everything at the time. Now, if you've got investment properties, now might be a good time to divest them. And my wife said, we have an investment property. Why don't we move into the investment property and sell this townhome that we were living in? I said, what, are you crazy? It's a cold, it's a flu. What are you not about? It'll be over next week. And then a week later, I've got 12 toilet rolls under my arm, fighting some English war with an umbrella. That's the good thing about England. You put your toilet rolls on the umbrella as you're going out the store. You get more in here. Well, we put our house on. She said, let's just get rid of it. She said, I've got a bad feeling about this. Put a house on the market, and we had 16 offers. That was back in March of 2020. It was a 300 grand townhome, and we had an offer for 312 with an escalation addendum to 330. And I saw other offers come in, and the others were like, 300, 305. So I went to the one with the escalation addendum, and we didn't list our own house. Let's just do that. Mechanics don't fix their own car. I mean, I don't touch my own stuff. I haven't got the time or the patience for it. The lady that had listed our house was in our local KW office, and I said to her, counter Mr. Escalation Clause at 330. And she goes, what about it? I said, just counter him at 330. Cash, and bang. He came back to me, yes, we went under contract for 330. During the inspection, he found, a loose socket in the garage, so I've got a 10 grand concession back to him.
It's expensive,
So we have a list of repairs. So I rolled down the price, 10 grand, leave me alone.
Yeah.
So I got my 320 for the house, didn't mess around with the escalation addendum, and that's the seller's priority. They're privileged to be able to do that. So when can they be used to an advantage? So that's a good one. If sellers know what they're doing, then what you're saying as the buyer's agent, this is how much my guy has got. And there's nothing wrong with the seller just countering them at that top price without having to go through all the malarkey of blacking out the names on contracts and trying to work out how to do that. Trying to find a crayon in the house when your kids have left home already. How do you do that? I have no clue. So I just said counter.
Plus, it gets really confusing when you have multiple offers with multiple
I
escalations.
know.
And you don't know, am I considering the base price or when do I know which one elevates the other one? It gets crazy.
So I turn my phone off at 8:30 at night just because I just need a little bit of non-talking time. But on Sunday night, someone must have called me at like 9:30, and it was a lady with what I called the infinite tower of pricing. She was trying to use two escalation clauses against each other.
Right.
They were at $6,733.
Right.
By the time, how on earth can you do that? You pick one. You pick one horse to ride. If you've got multiple offers, and we've had 64 offers, we've had 30 offers, we've had 60, we've had massive amounts of offers on one property. So let the seller go through them. And obviously the first thing you want to go for is cash.
Right.
And if you've got a cash buyer, then go for that. And then whittle it down. Next will be, conventional with a large down payment. And then you go for FHA and BA.
Would you go for a cash buy even if it's significantly lower than a mortgage buy?
I think the seller needs to know that sometimes all that glitters is not gold. And a cash buyer is easy. And it might be worth being 10 grand less than a finance buyer because you're not worrying as long as the cash buyer doesn't have an appraisal contingency, they're set till the closing table. And no one bit my head off when I said about BA and FHA buyers being down at the bottom of the pile. I hate even saying that.
Yeah, it'd be horrible if we were all buyers agents sitting here and listening to that. I mean,
Yeah.
and
I am one and I'm terrified.
I know. I hate even saying it out loud, but I've got to tell you the truth.
It's where we're at,
Yeah, and maybe it's a conversation you have with your FHA buyer and just say, look, this isn't going to last forever. We've got to get some. Is there any way you can get money? Do you have any children you can sell? Anything. That's
It's not just FHA. I have a conventional buyer that I keep getting outbid by cat because it's waterfront, it's 600, and everything we go after, there's cash. Doesn't have a chance right now.
We're going to provide you with a couple of these, this one and another one, which is a bit shorter escalation in them, and use them. They make the seller feel good that you're really in it to win it. But from my perspective, I would think it'd be better for a seller to see, here's my proof of funds, here's a letter from the lender which says, it doesn't matter if I bring 20 grand cash to the table. I'm borrowing this now, but I have the capability to bring 25,000. Here's my bank account with 25,000 cash. Here's a letter from the lender saying this buyer can bring up to whatever cash money to the closing. And that gives the seller far more peace of mind than trying to work out what this means. And we know how many thousands of agents have joined this business. Did you recently just join the business or were you doing it somewhere else?
No, just recently.
Were you in a real estate school?
Yes.
And were there many people in the class?
It's online now.
75.
I went to our Keller Williams office. I went to the office I broker in Sarasota yesterday on Clark Road. They have a training room this size, and there was real estate school in there, and literally it was a super spreader. They were packed in there like little sardines to take their real estate class. So people are getting into this business and they're jumping in without the skills and knowledge that you've got. So you're trying to battle against them, and they're putting their own homes on the market, or they're putting their friends or neighbors' home on the market, and they really don't know what they're doing. So this is our opportunity for us to show how professional we are and help guide them through the transaction as well, and not sort of scream and shout at them. What else?
Are there any questions that you have that you want Marie to ask about, Kim?
Yeah, Marie, I just had a situation happen this last weekend with the escalation clauses. If you have an escalation clause, are you allowed to ask the listing agent to see? Because it got to the point it was going like so crazy back and forth that I just don't really think that there were other escalation. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Within this clause, and the other one I'm going to provide you with, it says, you have to give us a copy of the highest competing offer with the
So
redacted.
you can ask.
You can ask that, yeah.
Because I got, I mean, I ended
Yeah.
up winning it, thank goodness, the bid,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I felt like it was just being pushed up, and I'm not so sure.
But if they did what I did with my townhome, is just come back and hit you at your highest. And I guess the conversations you have with your buyer is, this is a competitive market. You know, we can fool around and we can do this, or we can just go, let's just go in with what we've got and what we can afford. And if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. Don't tell them to do it, but give them the option to think about that. And we got to strike fast, and we don't want to be in the situation where I've got I've got a handful of sellers now where the buyer is starting to annoy them in the transaction, so they're just arbitrarily cancelling and saying, sue me. I'm going to have my legal fees on the cash buyer that's waiting in the wings. I don't care. I'm moving on. I don't want to listen to your repair requests or your extensions because you can't get your loan. I'm cutting bait and going. So sue me. And so you know, you've got to tell your buyer that this is, give them a realistic expectation of what the world's like out there. And this will pass. You know, this time next year, we'll be talking about
Too many houses.
too many, maybe, you know, maybe we're in a beautiful geographical location. You know, people want to move here. Which part of New Jersey did you live?
Northwest New Jersey, Bergen County.
Okay. My family, my wife's family are from Pompton Plains.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, it's just like there it is. You're through it.
Here's a question.
Jean asks, some escalation clauses on offers we receive are written very loosely. If we are going to work with that offer, do you suggest replacing their loosely written escalation clause with our escalation clause? And where do we find our office approved escalation clause?
Right, so the escalation clauses normally aren't part of the contract, so it doesn't really matter how they're written. It's really just it's an offer tactic. Am I talking to the right? Is that where I'm talking to? Yeah. See, I did good. Thanks for sitting behind the camera. So it's just a tactic. It's a tactic we're using to get our offer looked at and approved. I don't advise you to make it part of the contract. I see people do check it off as other and then put escalation addendum, which kind of, it complicates it a little bit. There's nothing wrong with doing it, but it adds another level of complexity to it. And so in answer to that question, no, don't counter back with our own one. Let the seller look at it and decide whether they want to work with that one or whether they just want to counter back at another figure and not use that escalation clause.
And then just to answer the question, Jean, is we do have one that Murray was holding, that handout. We'll send it out, but he also has a shorter version that he'll send me, and we'll send that out and have it on our drive for you as well. They're just words you can just stick them into. You can either stick them into the email or into a plain bit of paper. You know, you can have the buyer sign it if you want, or not sign it, or you can make it part of the contract.
Isn't there a FAR form? Isn't there?
There's a FAR competing offers form. It's not really an escalation clause.
Okay.
FAR don't really like them.
Okay.
So they've never been a fan of them, and I'm not a fan of them. But I realise they're a tool in this market. Question over here.
Marie, if you come to terms and you use an escalation clause, do you recommend that we do a clean contract at that point?
No. Good question. The contract's a contract. The first one we used, there used to be in the old days a lender would say, I need a clean copy of the contract because the fax machine would just block the back into it. And come through. No, we don't. We always use the original contract, and we would just strike through the front page and put the new pricing, or you could just use an addendum to that contract and say new contract price is, and make it part of the contract. But and the reasoning is, even though we don't use that first contract, we're still under an obligation to keep that for 5 years. So it's best just to keep the one. Things get lost. There's the court cases that come up later on, and they're saying, well, wasn't there another contract? Well, where is that? And then they concentrate on you not retaining it for 5 years rather than the case in hand.
I know, Maury, when we had to bring this escalation clause to you that we were doing on that piece of property, the seller finally said, look, just tell them I'm not dealing with any escalation clause. I don't want to be signing contracts 2-3 times a day.
Yeah.
And that made it easy. And what you advised us was to give them a time certain that on this day by 5 p.m. you have to give me your best and final,
Right.
and then the
Right.
seller could choose from that. And that worked out well for us in terms of, you know, getting people out of this escalation thing, because, you know, both the person who wanted the escalation clause in there, the buyer, the one buyer, wanted proof that we had the offer before their escalation clause would kick into the next level.
Right.
And they were wanting to do it at $1,000 increments.
Right.
And so, I mean,
It
it just would have been an absolute nightmare
Yeah.
to be sending stuff back and forth that many times.
I met with the team yesterday, and I think I made the suggestion, but anyway, it ended up that we've got this document. Whoever's idea it was brilliant. But it's a document that says it's in the MLS, and I just read through it again at the back there just to approve it. But what it says is the seller has instructed us that a successful offer will contain the following. It will be at or above asking price. It will be accompanied by a lender's pre-approval for the price and a proof of funds for any cash surplus. It will be written on a standard contract. The inspection period will be 7 to 10 days, and there will be a 15% escrow deposit payable at execution, and then $5,000 after the inspection period has ended. So that it could be anything, but you sit down with the seller and say, what does a successful offer look like to you? We're going to get 28 offers this weekend. What's the one that's going to make you sit up and beg? And then you then are telling all these people that are coming in who are, well, we get people that are sitting up north, just calling the realtor and saying, throw something in there. And then they're cancelling within the inspection period. So there's nothing wrong with setting that guidelines and putting it as an attachment in the MLS and saying, to the realtor remarks, please see attachment before making any offers.
That's what we did in Texas all the time.
Did you? See, things are better in Texas.
It was nice. It was an actual form that we had, and we would go through line by line of a contract and say, this will be an offer for an offer for you to submit favorable terms, and we would put that in our MLS, and then that, and also helped for new agents who didn't know how to write contracts. They would see, we would put like who the tile company was, yeah, who the tile company was, and everything on there, and then we would still do highest and best because they could put whatever offer they wanted, but at least all the terms, they knew what we wanted our standard to be.
And you can then cut out all the, you know, if an agent puts in something that's not within that, you could even have something in it that says there will be no response to offers that don't meet this criteria. And then the buyer's agent, you know, because I feel sorry for these buyers when the agent's got 60 odd offers come in at the weekend. Those buyers are beating that buyer's agent. Have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? And they're not going to hear anything for days maybe because the listing agent's inundated. So I'm telling people to have a cut and paste a paragraph that says we've received your offer, we'll be making a decision within 6 days.
Well, what you said in the class I took about asking right on the listing for 3 days to consider all offers really makes it easier.
So what I did
Slows
was,
it down, it gives you time
I
to.
came in a market like not as crazy as this, and what our broker had told us is kind of like to put it on a listing, like put the listing on the market on Thursday, and say all offers will be considered by seller on like 9 a.m. on
Tuesday
on Monday, and responses back to buyers will be on 9 a.m. on Tuesday.
Right.
So it gives then people, and it also gives your clients time to actually look at the house, so you can minimize that buyer's remorse, right? So that way, if they're in town, they can actually see it more than once. They could actually write the offer. They could do everything, and it gives you time to market your listing.
And another thing, I think as we peter out of this market, you know, while it's still like this, but as we're starting, it would be good for your sellers to actually have their own inspection done and provide an inspection report to the buyers, and then cut down that inspection period if the buyer wants to accept that inspection report.
I think there's a question over here.
So I have a comment on the same lines, but it's regarding getting things executed as quickly as possible when you have the offer that you do want. So I had an offer where the agent wrote in the escrow company on the first page, but they marked the seller will pay title, in which the seller did agree to pay title. So we needed to change the escrow company.
No,
No, you don't need to.
no.
They're
So-
asking to pick and you pay.
Right. Well, no.
No,
But
the
yeah,
escrow and
thank
the
you,
closing
Nick.
are two different things, so.
The escrow agent can be
Oh,
the
okay.
title
I see what
company
you
that
mean.
they put
Okay.
there,
I see.
and then money just needs to get changed later.
I see.
But I did, my seller said, well, I don't want to use that. So I actually, not thinking, because it was probably Saturday night at 8 o'clock when we're trying to get this thing executed. And it was Saturday night at 8 o'clock. I said, all right, we're going to make it this title company. I struck through that page and I said, see additional terms. So everybody had to initial the first page and initial the additional terms where the new title company was listed, who we wanted to be the escrow company. That caused a delay in the escrow date, causing the buyer to have an extended day for their inspections because we didn't get it back till Sunday. So now we thought the inspections were gonna end on Tuesday, but they didn't really end until Wednesday. We ended up having, have to get an extension because they tried to get the septic inspector out there. It just caused a big problem. Don't change anything on the contract if it doesn't matter in the execution of the contract.
Right.
Sign what you've got.
Right.
If you need to change the title company later or clarify who the title company will be,
Right.
write an addendum later.
Right, so nowhere in the contract
That
does
makes
it ever
sense.
say where it's gonna close, it just,
That makes sense.
the escrow agent's on the front page, but
Right.
closing company can be anyone.
Anyone
You're
see
right,
that?
don't bother going back because it's irrelevant to the meeting of the minds. It really doesn't.
Right.
What about when I got this morning that they've got the seller name wrong? Okay, like we had it clearly in the MLS, so
Right.
everything's great about the contract, seller name's wrong. Do I cross it out, put it right, initial it, and then send it back?
Yeah,
and forth?
just send it back to them and say.
And it's really wrong to just ask them to send a clean contract.
It should, it's right.
I've had a bad habit of just saying, let's make it a clean one. I mean, as opposed to initial in 15 places, why don't we just do a clean one?
No, there should be a historical record of the negotiations backwards and forwards with that document, so.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people do it, but my best recommendation or best instruction is not to clean the contract up.
Even if you kept the old contract, I mean, some of them become. I mean, it's like, oh,
I have
that's
a
odd.
CD about this.
This is called change.
You know, I've got one
We-
now, I've got a customer now that doesn't have an email. I mean, I gotta go and get initial every time.
What do they say? What do they say in the
Oh, I know.
Mandalorian?
Oh, I know.
What's it he says in the Mandalorian? This is the way.
Yeah.
Is that what he says? The garbage hunter guy? I have spoken. This is the way. What you do is up to you, but when you stand in court and I'm at the back, I go, I told you.
How do you like that clean contract now?
You've got to be Canadian.
Was that straight to
Because I saw you mouthing the words of God Save the Queen when they were.
I can go either way.
Yeah, me too, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Right, what else?
Any other
But
questions?
throw me off if you
I'm sorry?
can throw me off at any time.
I know, but I feel like this was really great stuff and we might just do our time next time. Sure. Yeah. Question.
Okay, as I told you
Cozy.
earlier, yes, I am a new realtor, so I apologize, but could you repeat, you said a successful offer would include offer of, above asking
Right,
price.
the facts of,
Could you
I
repeat
can
those
can
things?
give you those words, but the words are irrelevant. It's like, it's what that seller wants. So you have the conversation with the seller and say, what's a successful contract going to look like to you?
Uh-huh.
And they're going to say, and remember fair housing. A successful contract looks like for them, it's all about the property. It's not a beautiful family with 2 kids.
Right,
you know,
right.
Canadian.
Right.
No Canadian.
It's all about the property and the money. So it would be short inspection period, a 7-day inspection period, 10% down payment, whatever that seller wants. And you can say to them, you know, when you sit here and think about how this is going to end, who's the person that's going to win this? And then just take those notes and say, does this work? We'll put that in the MLS and then we can cut out all the nonsense where the people are throwing. I talked to a guy on the phone on the way down here, an annoyed buyer because his agent had fired him. And I said, well, why do you think he fired you? He said, well, I'm an investor, so I just want to keep putting them in at 80% of value. I said, don't put them in Oklahoma. we got no houses. And I'm surprised you didn't fire you quicker. Have a nice day.
This is not an investor's market in terms of getting low deals.
Wow.
Yeah, I see it on Facebook, looking for a flip.
Yeah,
Good luck with that one.
yeah,
Go to Montana.
right.
And even there, you might have issues with, I mean, it's
I know.
nationwide. So, what else do y'all?
So in this letter that you could say you want a cash, you can say cash. That's not
Absolutely,
breaking any rules.
a successful offer will be cash.
Will be cash.
Yeah, and not, we don't want to preclude, because someone might be 50-50 or no cash or a low finance offer. That would be the successful offer. Now, you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. If it's a home that's not likely to get that many offers, we don't want to restrict it.
Right.
That's always that
Yeah.
awful feeling once it goes active. You just don't know. I mean, you put this verbiage in, you think, is it even gonna, I just listed one for $199. I thought, oh my
The
God.
good thing is,
Need a blind buyer.
if you do it as an attachment, you
We
can
got
just
one.
whip it out.
We have limited time.
And then, I would do, if I was a realtor, I think I would do my listing on a Thursday, do the open house advertising on a Friday and stick it in the MLS Monday morning. Because you have, with the clear cooperation, you have one business day after you publicly market it to get it into the MLS. So if you do it over a weekend, you've got that whole weekend without it being in the MLS, so you can get your open houses done and get people from the office to go in.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Okay.
Because I liked my way, but I liked your way too. It's the same thing.
So now I'm going to say it again. Sorry, myself.
No, you're bad.
Rewind.
I have to rewind now. My brain don't
We're
work
saying
like
that you put it on Thursday.
Oh yeah, so you get your listing, and then on Friday you advertise you do all your public marketing on Friday, because you have one business day once you start public marketing to get it in the MLS. So Saturday and Sunday are not business days. Monday you would put it into the MLS as active if you had to. You could much rather put it straight in as pending, because over the weekend you would have got your thousands of in-house offers accepted, one accepted.
We're doing something like that, however, as a single agent, for my sellers, I'm advising them that if you let it go live on the MLS, you might end up with offers that are much higher than asking. So I'd love for us to sell it for 200,000, but if we put it in the MLS, you might get 225. Which way would you like to do it? Would you like to accept this offer today for 200, or let it go live on Monday and see what happens?
Right.
They all want to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, there are people like me that don't want anyone coming in your house. I don't want people trooping around. If you can get this sold with a minimum of footprints on my carpet, then whatever it is people have in Florida, wooden floors, tile. Yeah, it's carpet. Who has carpet nowadays?
And then if you don't want to be crazy, don't put a listing live on Friday.
Oh no, you've got to make sure you've got everything, you've got lots of drinks around you and snacks, because you do not, that is bad.
What I just did, I was Friday and I said, will not respond before Monday
Yeah.
at 10. And that means there's a whole thing that doesn't say you're gonna respond Monday at
Yeah.
10.
And
And the calls were not that bad. There were not that many.
I've been calling agents.
People are cluing in and reading the
Very
realtor
helpful.
only remarks. Yeah.
I've called agents over the weekend, and it says on their voice message, if you're calling about a particular listing, I'll be responding to you on Monday. If you're my broker, I will call you back in a minute.
That's a nice little addition.
So, but it is okay for the wording, I just want to make sure on the wording, for agents to have that wording on their MLS, they first had to have the conversation with the seller.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to make clear of that, and it has to be a seller agreement. Correct?
That's why I like it on a form, have the seller look at it. They can sign it if you like, it don't have to, but if you can sign it, it'd be even better. And then you're going to put it as an attachment in the MLS, and in real time remarks, say, before making an offer, please see attachment. Important. And then in the attached to the MLS, it's got, in order for a successful offer will look like this. Boom.
Why couldn't it just go in the realtor only remarks?
Well, I think there's two different conversations. He's talking about the details just now, and we were talking
Yeah,
about the
but-
timing of the.
But you could still put details in there.
You can put it in there, but it just gets
Well,
wordy.
details.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's likely, if they don't read it there, they're not gonna see the attachment. So-
That's entirely up to you. We just, the team I was talking to yesterday, we just decided to put it as an attachment. One, because I felt that it was a good idea to get the seller to sign it, and it was something that they could email to the seller easily. And then secondly, the realtor remarks, you know, they don't often read them, but they will if it's block capitals, and you can't put all that in block
Oh, I
capitals.
hate block capitals.
I
You're
do.
screaming.
You know, if you put block capitals in your descriptions, it actually shoots you in the foot because it defeats an algorithm when it gets exported out. Someone told me that once. I don't know if it's true, but what do you think, tech guy?
I would agree because. I
Was
mean,
that right?
Capital letters means you're yelling something or being very expressive with them, and if you're talking about if Realtor.com is like taking similar algorithms with Facebook, they're going to use that social meaning and kind of filter it that way.
So do you mean if the entire thing is caps locked?
Yeah.
Or just little
If
pieces.
there was like,
Pieces would be
you wanna
okay.
say saltwater
I do little
pool.
pieces.
Now, so you know how like on MLS, how the entire description.
Yeah,
captions
so-
are?
Oh, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
That's
Stop the
pulling
car.
out your
Yeah.
algorithm.
Yeah.
But if you have a specific thing that you want
Right.
to
That's
mention,
you want to
that's
stand out.
part of the
Yeah,
property.
like stunning,
Okay.
waterfront.
That's part of the property, saltwater pool.
Right.
Steering you the
That's
wrong
a-
direction.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Canadian.
So, all right, we have time for one or two more questions, and then we're gonna call it a day. Anyone? Okay, did y'all find this of value to you guys?
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna wanna go back to,
Oh.
sorry,
It's okay.
back to the
I'll ask you a
escalation
question.
clause. And you said you just counter them at their highest price. So that pretty much negates their whole thing about, I have to show you the copy of
Right.
everything.
You don't have to do all that
You say,
mess.
okay, we'll take yours at this much,
I like that.
if you accept that.
Yeah, and I did it with the cash offer, and I then did it with high finance or low finance offer. Did exactly the same counter to both of them. And the first one that came back was the cash guy, so I then rejected the other one and moved on. One thing I do want to say, is, and I say it a lot in the broker forum on Facebook, and I try and talk about it a lot every time I'm out, is the washer and dryer thing. I have to say that every time I get in front of people, you all know what the washer and dryer thing is. The water softener has now crept into the washer and dryer category. We're not sure sometimes whether the water softener is owned by the seller. If it's owned by the seller needs to know that really should stay in the property when they move. So if washer and dryer should be added into the personal property section of the contract if the buyer wants it. And then anything that's old appliances that the buyer doesn't want, that needs to be taken out in the excluded item. So if it's a dirty old fridge in the garage, you exclude it in the contract. So because the seller will leave it otherwise. And the other thing I wanted to mention is phone and text acceptance. If I was a buyer's agent, and the seller had contacted me back and said, your offer is the best, we're going with you, I would keep my mouth shut until I had that smelly contract with the paw prints on it in my hand. And then I would tell my buyer, yes, we have got it. Because what I'm dealing with is a sort of trail of tears where these buyers, the agents go, yes, we got it. And the next minute, this neighbors go, oh no, we got a better offer. And so that buyer is furious at you, furious at the world, and then they call me. And they haven't got a deal until we've got it in the hands. Text, verbal means nothing at all. Good. Good.
Thank you
You're welcome.
very much.
You're welcome.
So remember, guys, one is if you ever need Murray, he's available to you 24/7.
What?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I was kidding. None of us should be available to anyone 24/7, right? We have some self-care that needs to pipe in there. Phone number, email address, text for immediate responses. If you have a question for him that he can respond to by the end of the day, then he will send him an email. If the texting back and forth becomes more conversational piece, he'll pick up the phone, give you a call. And there are times in which you can just pick up the phone, give him a call. I feel like, and I'll just say that's everyone who's been working with Murray, it's been fine, right?
Yes.
Awesome, good. And he's also teaching. What are also going to stay with you in the room, right?
Well, thank you.
He is also teaching class today on Florida real trends in the real estate market that we're going on today at 1 o'clock. We have pizza served here for you. If you don't like pizza, please do not blame Elba. You can blame me. I kind of forgot that Elba had done lunch last week, and so this whole month has been a big blur for me, so I apologize. So the Market Center has provided y'all with pizza today because that was the quickest thing that we can think of we said for lunch, and that we have 2 salads for Trisha and for Leslie. So we have garden salads for you guys. No one else can take them, please. And besides that, thank you guys for coming. Don't forget about Red Day. And if you ever need assistance from any of us, we're only a phone call or an office away. We love seeing you guys here at the Market Center. And thank you guys for joining us on Zoom.
Thank you.
Have a good day, everyone.